Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. स एवायं मया तेद्य योगः प्रोक्तः पुरातनः भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति रहस्यं ह्येतदुत्तमम्.
That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend. Therefore, you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science owing to his becoming the devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge, but some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demonic, however, concoct something about Krishna and mislead the public and general readers from the path of Krishna's instructions. One should try to follow the disciplic succession from Arjuna and thus be benefited.
अर्जुन उवाच अपरं भवतो जन्म परं जन्म विवस्वतः कथमेतद्विजानीयाम् त्वमादौ प्रोक्तवानिति.
Arjuna said, the sun god, Vivaswan, is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? Arjuna is an accepted devotee of the Lord, so how could he not believe Krishna's word? The fact is that Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or for the demons who do not like the idea that Krishna should be accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For them only, Arjuna inquires on this point, as if he were himself not aware of the personality of Godhead or Krishna. As it will be evident from the 10th chapter, Arjuna knew perfectly well that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fountainhead of everything, and the last word in the Transcendence. Of course, Krishna also appeared as the son of Devaki on this earth. How Krishna remained the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the eternal original person, is very difficult for an ordinary man to understand. Therefore, to clarify this point, Arjuna put this question before Krishna so that he himself could speak authoritatively. That Krishna is the supreme authority is accepted by the whole world, not only at present, but from time immemorial, and the demons alone reject him. Anyway, since Krishna is the authority accepted by all, Arjuna put this question before him in order that Krishna would describe himself without being depicted by the demons who always tried to distort him in a way understandable to the demons and their followers. It is necessary that everyone, for his own interest, know the signs of Krishna. Therefore, when Krishna himself speaks about himself, it is auspicious for the worlds. To the demons, such explanations by Krishna himself may appear to be strange because the demons always study Krishna from their own standpoint. But those who are devotees heartedly welcome the statements of Krishna when they are spoken by Krishna himself. The devotees will always worship such authoritative statements of Krishna because they are always eager to know more and more about him. The atheists who consider Krishna an ordinary man may in this way come to know that Krishna is superhuman, that he is Saksidananda Vyagra, Graha, the eternal form of bliss and knowledge, that he is transcendental, and that he is above the domination of the modes of material nature and above the influence of time and space. A devotee of Krishna's, like Arjuna, is undoubtedly above any misunderstanding of the transcendental position of Krishna. Arjuna's putting this question before the Lord is simply an attempt by the devotee to defy the atheist attitude of persons who consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being subject to the modes of material nature.
श्रीभगवानुवाच बहूनि मे व्यतीतानि जन्मानि तव चार्जुन तान्यहं वेद सर्वाणि न त्वं वेत्थ परं तप.
The blessed Lord said, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. O subduer of the enemy. In the Brahma Samhita, we have information of many, many incarnations. I always say incarnations of the Lord. It is stated there. Advitam, Asitam, Anidam, Anatta Rupam, Adiyam, Purana Purasam, Nava Yuvanam Cha, Videsa Durlabam, Adurlabam, Atma Bhaktu, Govidam, Adi, Purasam, Tam Aham, Bhajijami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda Krishna, who is the original person, absolute, infallible, without beginning, although expanded into unlimited forms. Still the same, original, the oldest, and the person always appearing as fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing forms of the Lord are usually understood by the best Vedic scholars, but they are always manifest to pure, unalloyed devotees. It is also stated in the Brahma Samhita, Ramadi Muritisu Kala Niyamina Tistan Navavataram Akarad Guru Nesa Kintu Krishna Savayam Samabhavat Parama Puman Yo Govidam Adi Purusam Tam Aham Bhajijami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda Krishna, who is always situated in various incarnations such as Rama, Narasimha, and many sub-incarnations as well. But who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna, and who incarnates personally also? In the Vedas, also it is said that the Lord, although once without a second, nevertheless manifests himself in innumerable forms. He is like the Vadoria stone, which changes color yet still remains one. All those multiforms are understood by the pure, unalloyed devotees, but not a simple study of the Vedas. But not by a simple study of the Vedas. Vedisu durlabam adurlabam atma bhaktu. Devotees like Arjuna are constant companions of the Lord, and whenever the Lord incarnates, the associate devotees also incarnate in order to serve the Lord in different capacities. Arjuna is one of these devotees, and in this verse it is understood that some millions of years ago, when Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god Vivasvan, Arjuna, in a different capacity, was also present. But the difference between the Lord and Arjuna is that the Lord remembered the incident, whereas Arjuna could not remember. That is the difference between the part and parcel living entity and the Supreme Lord. Although Arjuna is addressed herein as the mighty hero who could subdue the enemies, he is unable to recall what happened in his various past births. Therefore, a living entity, however great he may be in the material estimation, can never equal the Supreme Lord. Anyone who is a constant companion of the Lord is certainly a liberated person, but he cannot be equal to the Lord. The Lord is described in the Brahma Samhita as infallible, asiyuta, which means that he will never forget himself, that he never forgets himself, even though he is material contact, even though he is in material contact. Therefore, the Lord and the living entity can never be equal in all aspects, even if the living entity is as liberated as Arjuna. Although Arjuna is a devotee of the Lord, he can sometimes forget the nature of the Lord, but by the divine grace, a devotee can at once understand the infallible condition of the Lord, whereas a non-devotee or demon cannot understand this transcendental nature. Consequently, these descriptions in the Gita cannot be understood by demonic brains. Krishna remembered acts which were performed by him millions of years ago, but Arjuna could not, despite the fact that both Krishna and Arjuna are eternal in nature. We may also note herein that a living entity forgets everything due to his change of body, but the Lord remembers that he does not change his Saksidananda body. He is Advaita, which means that there is no distinction between him, his body, and himself. Everything in relation to him is spirit, whereas the conditioned soul is different from his material body. And because the Lord's body and self are identical, his position is always different from the ordinary living entity, even when he descends to the material platform. The demons cannot adjust themselves to this transcendental nature of the Lord, as the Lord explains in the following verse.
अजोऽपि सन्नव्ययात्मा भूतानामीश्वरोऽपि सन् प्रकृतिं स्वामधिष्ठाय सम्भवाम्यात्ममायया.
Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all sentient beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. The Lord has spoken about the my mouth's not going to say this word, peculiar of his birth. I'm just going to skip it. Although he may appear like an ordinary person, he remembers everything of his many, many past births, whereas a common man cannot remember what he has done even a few hours before. If someone has asked what he did exactly at the same time one day earlier, it would be very difficult for a common man to answer immediately. He would surely have to dredge his memory to recall what he was doing at the same time one day before. And yet men often dare claim to be God or Krishna. One should not be misled by such meaningless claims. Then again, the Lord explains his prakriti, or his form. Prakriti means nature, as well as Savarupa, or one's own form. The Lord says that he appears in his own body. He does not change his body, as the common living entity changes from one body to another. The conditioned soul may have one body in the material present birth, but he has a different body in the next birth. In the material world, the living entity has no fixed body, but transmigrates from one body to another. The Lord, however, does not do so. Whenever he appears, he does so in the same original body by his eternal potency. In other words, Krishna appears in this material world in his original eternal form with two hands holding a flute. He appears exactly as his eternal body, uncontaminated by this material world. Although he appears in the same transcendental body and is Lord of the universe, it still appears that he takes his birth like an ordinary living entity. Despite the fact Lord Krishna grows from childhood to boyhood and from boyhood to youth, astonishingly enough, he never ages beyond youth. At the time of the Battle of Kurukshetra, he had many grandchildren at home. Or in other words, he had sufficiently aged by material calculations. Still, he looked just like a young man, 20 or 25 years old. We never see a picture of Krishna in old age because he never grows old like us. Okay. No, I lost it. He never grows old like us, although he is the oldest person in the whole creation, past, present, and future. Neither his body nor his intelligence ever deteriorates or changes. Therefore, it is clear that in spite of his being in the material world, he is the same unborn, eternal form of bliss and knowledge, changeless in his transcendental body and intelligence. Factually, his appearance and disappearance are like the sun's rising, moving before us and then disappearing from our eyesight. When the sun is out of sight, we think that the sun is set, but when the sun is before our eyes, we think that the sun is on the horizon. Actually, the sun is always in its fixed position, but owing to our defective, insufficient senses, we calculate the appearance and disappearance of the sun in the sky. And because his appearance and disappearance are completely different from that of any ordinary common living entity, it is evident that he is eternal blissful knowledge by his eternal potency, and he is never contaminated by material nature. The Vedas also confirm that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unborn, yet he still appears to take his birth in many multi-manifestations. The Vedic supplementary literatures also confirm that even though the Lord appears to be taking his birth, he is still without change of body. In the Bhagavatam, he appears before his mother as Narayana with 4 hands and the decorations of 6 kinds of full opulences. His appearance in his original eternal form is his causeless mercy, according to the Visvakosha dictionary. The Lord is conscious of all his previous appearances and disappearance. But a common living entity forgets everything about his past body as soon as he gets another body. He is the Lord of all living entities because he performs wonderful and superhuman activities while he is on this earth. Therefore, the Lord is always the same absolute truth and is without differentiation between his form and self or between his quality and body. A question may now be raised as to why the Lord appears and disappears in this world. That is explained in this next verse.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. The word Srajami is significant herein. Srajami cannot be used in the sense of creation because, according to the previous verse, there is no creation of the Lord's form or body, since all of the forms are eternally existent. Therefore, Shurjami means that the Lord manifests himself as he is. Although the Lord appears on schedule, namely at the end of Dharapara Yuga of the 28th millennium of the 8th Manu, in one day of Brahma, which they talk about this in the first sloka of this chapter, these timelines. In one day of Brahma, still he has no obligation to adhere to such rules and regulations because he is completely free to act in many ways at his will. He therefore appears by his own will whenever there is a predominance of irreligiosity and a disappearance of true religion. Principles of religion are laid down in the Vedas, and any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the rules of the Vedas makes one irreligious. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. Only the Lord can manufacture a system of religion. The Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by the Lord himself to Brahma, from within his heart. Therefore, the principles of Dharma, or religion, are the direct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dharnam tu sat bhavagat pranitam. These principles are clearly indicated throughout the Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of the Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord directly orders at the end of the Gita that the highest principle of religion is to surrender unto him only, and nothing more. The Vedic principles push one towards complete surrender unto him. And whenever such principles are disturbed by the demonic, the Lord appears. From the Bhagavatam, we understand that Lord Buddha is the incarnation of Krishna who appeared when materialism was rampant and materialists were using the pretext of the authority of the Vedas. Although there are certain restrictive rules and regulations regarding animal sacrifice for particular purposes in the Vedas, people of demonic tendency still took to animal sacrifice without reference to the Vedic principles. Lord Buddha appeared to stop this nonsense and to establish the Vedic principles of nonviolence. Therefore, each and every avatara or incarnation of the Lord has a particular mission, and they are all described in the revealed scriptures. No one should be accepted as an avatara unless he is referred to by the scriptures. It is not a fact that the Lord appears only on Indian soil. He can advent himself anywhere and everywhere, and whenever he decides to appear. In each and every incarnation, he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by the particular people under their particular circumstances. But the mission is the same, to lead people to God consciousness and obedience to the principles of religion. Sometimes he descends personally, and sometimes he sends his bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant or himself in some disguised form. The principles of the Bhagavad Gita were spoken to Arjuna, and for that matter, to other highly elevated persons, because he was highly advanced compared to ordinary persons in other parts of the world. 2 + 2 = 4 is a mathematical principle that is true both in the beginner's arithmetic and in the advanced class as well. Still, there are higher and lower mathematics. In all incarnations of the Lord, therefore, the same principles are taught, but they appear to be higher and lower in varied circumstances. The higher principles of religion begin with the acceptance of the 4 orders and 4 statuses of social life, as will be explained later. The whole purpose of the mission of incarnations is to arouse Krishna consciousness everywhere. Such consciousness is manifest and non-manifest only under different circumstances. I will pause here at 8. These slokas are so much longer than the other chapters, I feel like.
Yeah, all of a sudden they got long, but they're talking, well, I think they're trying to get across something that's that maybe they felt was pretty hard to understand, and they really wanted to emphasize it and explain it.
Well, I'll tell you, something finally clicked this morning because I was going crazy with all the different, words for Krishna. But when they just spoke about the Buddha version of Krishna and if I can relate to like an avatar creature.
Yes.
So now that makes sense to me, like how Krishna will incarnate as a avatar to work on a certain issue.
Yeah. Or
And then
maybe
we
to
can
be
assign that
acceptable.
avatar to that issue.
Yeah, I noted that too, that Avatar popped up in Shloka 7, and it's kind of neat that there are different avatars.
Well,
at
now
different
when I
times.
hear all the different words for him, I won't get so overwhelmed. I'll be like, okay, there, and I don't have to memorize what each
Yeah.
one is doing, but now I can understand that a little bit more. I also felt, so yesterday, Jackie, we read the first 2 slokas, and the first sloka I enjoyed, but by the second one, he was kind of saying, the author was kind of saying like, he wrote this book, and I'm paraphrasing my view of it. He wrote this book, and this is really the only one that matters, because all the other commentaries out there are just, but I felt like the readings today kind of balanced it out. And I was telling Sue yesterday, I've been feeling a lot of very skeptical in the world toward people. So when he was saying that yesterday, I was like, why is it your way or no way? Like, why couldn't you just say? So I felt like today, what he was saying is fair, in the sense it's like, just be careful on which commentaries and authors you're reading. And I feel like I've gotten stuck under certain teachers, not just in the yoga world, but you get stuck under different people, and you trust them, and then you find out that they're not to be trusted. So I think that's an important reminder. So now I don't mind that he's being like that. He's just bringing it to mind again, to me. All right, so we ended on, let me write it down. I've been writing it down. I did write it down. 4-8. Tomorrow we'll start 8.
Yep.
I think it's interesting how he's bringing this chapter in now, because I feel like this is a good introduction chapter, but also if he would have started on this chapter, I would have been like, I can't with this book. So I'm glad he like sneaking it in here now.
It's like an education where there's something called scaffolding, and that's what they did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So I don't know if you were on one day, Jackie, but Sue and I agreed that this is not the type of book that you just pick up and get cozy and read at home. Like, this is the type of book that if we weren't doing it this way, it would be extremely challenging to read, to engage myself in it.
oh yeah, I would sit over there on that bookshelf of books I know I really should read but haven't read yet, and maybe I'll get to them sometime.
Yeah. I mean, we have the Joshua Green version, which is like a condensed version, and I have another version I've read. It's on my couch, but they're like, different, just another version of it, and like a condensed version. I can't think of what the right word is.
Abridged.
Yeah, like an abridged, but it's not this author. They're different authors, but they were recommended by other people. When I got this book, first of all, when I had the sutra book, that book scared me. This book was like super scary. But once I read the sutra book, then I could understand that there was like a Sanskrit and understand this a little bit better. Okay.
And the Joshua Green version, took out what he felt was the most important pieces. So you that was easier to get through. But I never attempted this before. But I know why there's so many courses on this. There's so many things, because people, study this for their life.
Yeah. And Bhakti school in the city, Bhakti Center, offers a course, and Michaeline had told us about it. And I looked into it, and if I would have signed up, I would have missed like the first month. And I'm like, I don't know if because I was like, I get engaged in something and then I go overboard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let me just read it through. And then if I'm meant to go back to the course another time, I'll do it then. So that was a good lesson. I love watching myself make those decisions because I'm like, yes, it's working. It's all working.
Yeah.
Even this morning, Sue, like when I woke up, my chore day is Friday morning. I always wake up, I do my sheets, I get my sheets in. They're on my bed before I'm even starting my work day because I get them in the dryer, and then I do my vacuum, I get the house in order, and this way I can relax on the weekends, just like a quick thing. But today's Thursday, but I woke up and I'm like, I'm gonna do the sheets today. Eric's home so he can help me make the bed. And I put my workout, I'm not in my pajamas, I'm in my workout clothes. I have a tank top on, I have my sports bra on, I have my pants on, because I'm like, I don't want, if I stay in my pajamas, I'm not gonna work out, I'm just gonna get crankier. So I'm like, let me do all these things to change my mindset for the day. Because when I woke up cranky. So there are like little tricks you can. That's why I'm just gonna fake it till I make it.
Fake it till you make it. Yes, yes, and a lot of the time it works.
It does work.
It sure makes things better, even if it doesn't solve it. It makes it better.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's do some breath work and meditate and see what comes up. So finding that straight, strong spine. Taking a few breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Maybe you need to move a little bit. Stretch out the arms and the neck. Maybe you're just ready for stillness. I'll guide you through one round of alternate nostril breathing, and then I'll leave you to continuing on a few rounds with your own breath. You can add your locks and retention in. Just take a few breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Start to lengthen the breath. Relax the face. Bring your right hand over to your nose. Close the right nostril with the thumb. Inhale through the left. Close left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close right. Exhale left. You'll keep going. You can continue on with your alternate nostril breathing until you feel ready to finish. You'll exhale out through the left side. I'm going to do a few rounds of bumblebee breath if you want to join me, or just drop right into your meditation. If you're joining me for bumblebee breath, you'll close your ears with your thumbs. Take your next two fingers to close off the eyes. You can either fold back the next two fingers or let them rest gently on the face. Inhale and exhale through the nose, creating a humming sound at the back of the throat, creating vibrations in the body, and you'll sound like a bumblebee. I'm going to set the timer. Bringing your hands together in front of your heart. Namaste.
Namaste.